हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय अनदर वीडियो ऑफ स्नोफ्लेक। आज के वीडियो में हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं हाउ टू लोड द अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड डाटा इनटू द स्नोफ्लेक। एन एग्जांपल में वी आर गोइंग टू लोड ए जेसन फाइल इनटू ए स्नोफ्लेक। क्या क्या स्टेप्स होते हैं, क्या क्या प्रोसेस होते हैं, उसको सारे डिटेल में और प्रैक्टिकल के रूप में इस वीडियो में हम लोग देखेंगे और समझेंगे। अगर आपने मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब करें, मुझे काफ़ी मदद मिलती है। और वीडियो पसंद आए तो वीडियो को लाइक एंड शेयर जरूर करें। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। तो जेसन फाइल पहले समझते हैं, जेसन फाइल होता क्या है। देर आर डिफरेंट डिफरेंट फाइल फॉर्मेट। जैसे CSV फाइल होता है, फ्लैट फाइल, एक डिफरेंट कॉमा सेपरेटेड फ्लैट फाइल होती है, या पार्के फाइल होती है। डिफरेंट डिफरेंट फाइल फॉर्मेट है, उसके लिए मैं एक न्यू और एक सेपरेट वीडियो बनाऊंगा। लेकिन यहाँ पे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ जेसन फाइल का। जेसन एक फाइल फॉर्मेट है जिसमें की वर्ड, उसमें टैग्स होता है, एक की होता है और उसके आंसर्स होते हैं, मीन्स की और वैल्यू पेयर के रूप में जेसन फाइल में डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्ड होता है। तो मैं एक सैंपल पहले जेसन फाइल आपको दिखा देता हूँ। एंड इन दिस जेसन फाइल वी हैव मल्टीपल सिनेरियोज, लाइक नेस्टेड जेसन भी है, एरेज भी है, एक नॉर्मल जेसन स्ट्रक्चर भी है। तो मैं एक जेसन फाइल ओपन करता हूँ। सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द जेसन फाइल विच वी आर गोइंग टू लोड इनटू आवर स्नोफ्लेक। इसको अगर स्ट्रक्चर रूप में देखना है तो देर इज ए ऑनलाइन जेसन व्यूअर जिसमें आप जेसन को देख सकते हैं। आई विल कॉपी इट, आई विल ओपन जेसन व्यूअर ऑनलाइन, and then anyone you can go, we'll go here. Okay, so this is one of the example of JSON. Okay, I will write it here. I think it should get converted, or I'll use another one. Okay. Okay, now you see, this is my data. This is in a JSON format, but this is how it is a JSON viewer. Like you can see in a proper tag way. Like this is my tag. First name, what is the value? Santosh. What last name? What is the value? Key. Kumar. So this is my key and this is my value. So this is key value pair. So you can see there are three things. In the first, there are eight values. Then we have job. Job is another section which we have two values. Spoken language, we have one values. So similarly, you have multiple data structured into a JSON format. So this kind of structure, we call it a JSON format. And this is a object storage format, and this is used for getting a bulk information. Like it is more of a inserting the data into a bulk way, and also getting or displaying the data into a bulk way. इसके यूज केस हम लोग जब फाइल फॉर्मेट पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें हम लोग बताएंगे कि इसका यूज केस कहाँ है, किस किस सिनेरियो में आप जेसन फाइल फॉर्मेट को प्रीफर कर सकते हैं। लेकिन आज के वीडियो में दिस इज ए सेमी स्ट्रक्चर्ड डाटा एंड वी आर गोइंग टू स्टोर इट इनटू स्नोफ्लेक। क्योंकि यहाँ पे रोज एंड कॉलम जैसा डाटा नहीं है, एक नॉर्मल कॉमा सेपरेटेड फिक्स डाटा नहीं है। वी हैव डिफरेंट थिंग्स। यू सी दिस इज द टैग, and here see job is one of the key, and the value is inside this tag, so that there can be multiple values. For this row, first row, you have only one value for this job. If you see the other one, okay, in the job I have kept only one values. So we'll take another example like spoken languages. So spoken languages is the key, and the values are like here I've written English on expert level. So you see in the other example we have spoken language as a key, and from the here to here we have values, and there are two values. So it's a dynamic. Look, first you have one value, now we have two values. In this case we have one values. Similarly, you see the previous company, we have one value here. In previous company, in the second row we have one value, and the third row in the previous company we have three values. So this is getting changed when you create a comma separated file, CSV file. We have a fixed length, fixed kind of column values in your system. So how to deal with all this thing, we have to look into this, and we have to also see how to load this value. We'll see this in a practical example. So I have loaded this file into my S3 bucket. So this is the HR data JSON file, and I have my Snowflake here. So what I will do first, I will create my own database where I will do all this transformation, all this loading stuff. So I'm just going to run this command. So my database is created, and my schema, my db dot is the database, my schema is the schema name. So this is my schema. Inside the schema, I will create the stage, external stage, which is pointing to my S3 bucket, and this is my credential. So how to get this key ID credential, you can look in the first or second video of the Snowflake playlist. I have explained like how to get this one from the S3 bucket, where to get the URL, and by these two values we can create an AWS external stage. So this stage will get created. So it's got created successfully, and when you will refresh this, go to my DB, you will see my schema, and here you have stage, and this is one of the stage. When you click on the stage, you will have the full information, like this is from the AWS and who is the owner of this and which type of stage is this. This is external stage. So in my previous video I have explained what is external, what is internal stages. So this is all about the external stage. I can describe my stage to see all the information. So here we have all that properties, like if you want to skip header or not, all this thing has been put here. So we have another property file called format file, file format file for this. So that I will also create in this video, and and we have already explained, like these values are also getting repeated into file format. So how to manage the file format, how to give the override, how to override the default value of file format, everything has been explained in the previous video. You can check my previous video if you're new to the channel. So now what we are going to do, we are going to create a file format in which the type is JSON. So this, I'll run this command. These all things has been discussed in my previous videos. So if you go there, so file format is there, JSON file format, and type is JSON, you can see here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I have to first load the data, load the JSON as a raw data. So JSON as a raw data, I have to keep into a Snowflake table. So first I'll copy into the stage that I'll show you here. So this is my copy command, copy into this JSON row. So JSON row, I have to create a table, and that table will have the full JSON into it. So for that purpose, we have to create a table in which the column name is raw file, and the data type is variant. So variant is one of the data type in Snowflake, which can accommodate your object, any kind of data type. This is generally meant for loading the semi-structured or unstructured kind of data. And after the JSON gets loaded into the variant data type of a Snowflake table, that data type, then we have to parse it, because JSON as a single object will get loaded into the variant data type, and then we have to parse it with our logic. Depending on the complexity of the JSON, we have to parse it, and then we have to load the parse value into the table, Snowflake table, and that will complete the full purpose of this video, like how we are getting the JSON from an external stage, loading as a raw file into one of the table whose data type, one of the column data type is variant, then parsing it with the SQL command. And you can use Python and the other languages also for the parsing, but we'll be using SQL command for the parsing. And then after the parse value, we have to create another table in a Snowflake which will match the parse column, which we have logic we have used for parsing. And then we have to load the parsed value into the Snowflake actual table, the final table. So we are going to see this. So we have created a table called JSON raw. I have already created it, but I will run this command again. So when you refresh this, you will have one table, and this is the this is the table. And then I'm going to load into this JSON raw from this stage, whose file format I have used, a JSON file format which I have created here. You can see JSON raw. And then what I'm going to do, where it is, I'm also going to give the file's name. So in my previous video, I have not shown that how to use this file keyword. So if you have multiple files, for example, in this, we have multiple files and you want to load only a particular file. For example, there are HR data, there are employee data, there are account data, but you want to load only HR data. So you can mention here the files. So I'm given here the file name directly. So I'll copy this command, but before that, I need to truncate my table. So I have truncated this table, and then I'm going to, you can see that there is no value inside this. So I'm just going to copy this. So three rows was there. So it got parsed. When you do the select from here, you will see the three row, and when you hover around with the mouse on this row or click on this, you will see the actual raw file for that particular data. This is for the second row, this is for the third row. So right side will show the actual JSON view, and the left side you have data in a tabular format. So you can see that only this is the raw file, and what is my column name inside this is raw file. So this is my column name, and these are the values. Now we need to parse it. So how to parse it? When you go into the select command, for example, I'm using this select command or we can just first see like in this column I want to parse the city. The city is Delhi for all the rows. So what I will do, select raw dot city. And if you want to change the data type also, you can just mention here data type, like any data type by double colon. If you don't want to change the data type, just leave it here. And then you can from this table, when you run this, you will have all this. But one thing is here, like the column name becomes raw file colon city. This doesn't look good. So you can give the alias. So I will give here as uh, city, and then run this. So you will have the city column name with this value. Similarly, I have pinpoint like ID, first name, last name, gender, everything from this you can select. So similarly, you have to make the query out of it, and then you have the query, and that insert it into a table. You have to create a new table in the Snowflake with the same query output structure, and then loading will be done. That we will see it now. Now we'll see how to deal with the nested file, nested JSON. So here, when we have run this command, a normal command, for example, this I want to see the city, so I got the city, or I want to see some ID, I can see the ID. Like when I was executing this command, so in this you can see all the column name. But what about the nested thing? For example, the job. So in the data, when you see the data, and here you see the job, it's a nested thing. Like you have one value here, one value here. So in our case, I have given the only a single value, but there can be multiple values inside this. Or in this job, we have two values as of key value pair, for example, salary and title, comma, and there can be another values also. So in this case, we have only two values. So how to deal with this kind of situation? So we have to use dot command, like raw file, the column name column job, and inside the job we have to pinpoint what we want. So this will show you the full structure of the JSON inside the job with the values, but we want these two as a separate column. So in that case, what we have to do, we have to use this column file dot salary. I'm changing it into integer. So this is how we change into integer and keep the column name as salary. So when I run this, you will have one particular column for this salary. Similarly, if I copy this and uh, if I copy this is not allowing me to copy. Yes. And I want to, what was the other values? Let me see again. So you'll see title. I'll use here title. And obviously I'm not going to change into integer. I'll keep it as, and then I'll run this. So you will have another column with the title. So with these two queries, or you can just combine these two query like this, Control C, and okay, I have to give you a title. It's not cell, we have copied it. So I'll just copy this command in here. And now you run this command, you will get two column. One is the expected raw file, comma has to come here. Run this command, you will get two column. One is the salary, another is the title, right? So this way how you can deal with the nested JSON. Now what about the array? When you see see the file again, you will see there is one more kind of thing in this JSON is an array. You can see here the array is here. Previous company is also a kind of array, but we have only, yes, we have two values here. Similarly, in the spoken language also we have two values here. So how to deal with this kind of situation? All this process is called known as parsing. Like how we parse the JSON file or any kind of unstructured file, semi-structured file. And the process can be done with the Python and other language, but a simple parsing can be done with the SQL. Is very easy for doing the simple kind of parsing. A complex parsing people do sometime, like earlier in my career in the big data, we used to parse with the help of Scala language, the JSON file. So that was really tough. This is quite easy. You can just use the dot command and you can get all the values. But anyway, we'll stick with the SQL here. So we have now the previous company here. Prev company is the value, and we'll see how it is displayed here. So all the previous company I can see here, but see this is the two values. So how to deal with it? You can give the value as this: 1, 2, 1 for the first, 2 for the second. So when I give like this, so in the brief company, like, so we can use by giving the, like, how we pinpoint the number of element or the which the pointer to a particular element in array. So in the one it will show you the second. So for the first two row we don't have the previous company, second previous company, so it's a null here. So for the first one you can give here 0, and you will get the first values. So this is how we deal with the multiple values inside the array. So now we have seen this parsing, the array parsing of the individual element. So if I want to see all the records, like for example, Santosh has worked in two companies, the previous one company and the now is the current company. So I want to create two separate row for that. So I can create one set of data for the current company, showing the current company, another set of data showing the previous company, and then I can union and create a separate row or additional row. So whenever in a file we have a single data and you want to create multiple rows out of it, values being segregated into multiple rows, always go for union all. So this is not a thumb rule, but in most of the, or in the almost all the scenario, we'll see that with the help of union all you can create the multiple rows, and then in the column we can transpose in the column. That is another use case for, but for increasing the number of rows you can use the union all. So what I have done, I have created this query. This is nothing, just getting the ID, first name, my previous company. See, I have given here 0. So 0 denote the previous, the first element, that is the previous company. 1 is the second element with the current company. And both I have changed into string, and I have done the union all. So this will have one set of data, 3 records. This will have another set of data, 3 records. Will have almost same values, but this value will change because I am putting the pointer to the 0th element, means the first element, and the 1 means second element. So I've done with the order by the ID. So with the ID, it will be ordered with the ascending order. When you click on this, you will have Santosh having 2 record. One is a previous company, and like, okay, null is the previous company and fidelity is the current company. Similarly with the Saurav and with the Rahul, the same thing. You can see that 6 record has been created here. One important, very important thing is, like, we have already seen the data. If the data is a very huge number, so in that case you will not know that what is the size of the array. So before that, like, we have to write here 1, 0. So like, we know that there are only two values, so we are putting these values. But if there are multiple values in the array, and it's not possible that you will go individually, you will go and see the data in the UI or in some of the app. If that is not possible, then we have to take out the size of the array. So what we'll do, we'll take out the size of this array. There's a spoken language column. I'll show you here. I can see with this select command. This is spoken language. In one of the array there is some other values. In another arrays we have, see, this is two values, one value, one value. So how to know that how many values are there? You can take out the array size from the same query, and you will see that in the first we have 1, then a 2, and 1. So accordingly you can pick point, or you can know the what is the data inside, how this dynamic data is there in the array, and then we can pull out the data out of it. So now finally we are going to load data. We'll not load the all column, we'll load a particular set of columns. So for that, what we are going to look into it, we are going to look into the new thing called the flatten function in the table. So what is the scenario? I'll tell you why we are going to use this, and this will make our overall job very easy. So for that, first I need to just query in the table. So you see here spoken languages. So in this we have a different set here, totally different set, in which we have this curly braces or the values in these two different layers. So now you see in the nested JSON, like in the job, we have two values inside these curly braces, but you see this is a kind of array, and inside that we have two different values. So we have to flatten it, means we have to first bring this all values like English and the other language is there out of this spoken language, and then we have to parse it. So in this we have to first flatten this. So if you want to learn more about the flattening, you can go into the definition. If you have any doubt, you can put it as a comment in this video. I'll clear it. See, spoken languages, this is getting the array, and then we are flattening this, and this will create a total different table, and we have given the alias as f. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, with the my column name, I'm going to get the first name as the first name, value colon languages, and in that I'm going to use the first language, then level of that spoken language, and this value I'm getting it from this f, the flattening part, and from there I'm getting this value. So if you want to see how it looks, you can just run this command. See, so in this table, we'll have one set of a language and the spoken thing, another set of language and then the spoken thing, expert level. And you can see that Saurav has two languages, so it will create a two rows for Saurav. So the two values has been taken out, and then we are pinpointing the values out of it by this alias. So whenever you get that scenario in which you have a array inside that you have a different values, you have to use flatten. Otherwise, without flatten also it will work like how we have done in the job or job title, salary. In that case, we have not used the flatten thing. So this is how we'll take out in this scenario the data. And finally, we are going to create a table on the top of it. So finally, I will create a funnel table with only these three columns: first name, first language, level spoken. And either you can do in two ways. You can create the table and then insert into it, or either while creating the table itself, you can insert the data. So you have this data here. So this JSON has been created. So when you click on this JSON parse and you do select star from this one, so you'll have this table. So I'll first truncate the table. Okay, now you see there will be no record inside this. Now I'm going to create insert into this table. Now there is no data, so this is another way you can create the table and then insert it later on. So I'm inserting the data into the particular table, and you can see number of rows inserted, 4, and this you can run it. So this is how you insert a JSON into a Snowflake. First, you analyze the JSON file. If you have that flexibility to analyze it, understand that it's a dynamic JSON, it's a normal JSON. What all parameters are there? Is there is an array or not? Or is it like there is an array and the nested JSON inside the same thing? You have to create the stage. If you're working with external stage, you have to create the stage, load the stage, create a table which has the variant column, load the data, JSON data as a full JSON into that variant, write the parser on the top of it, create the SQL out of the parser. So I'm using the SQL, so I'm telling about the SQL. You can use the Python also. So create a parser with the help of that SQL, that data set. You have the data set, or like you want the whole JSON or you want a subset of the JSON, depending. In my case, I have taken a small subset of the JSON. Take out the data, do some testing, and then create the funnel table and try to load the data. If the funnel table is created, then according to the funnel table, you have to create the parse data. So this is the way how we deal with when you have to load the unstructured data, you have to load the JSON data. Go through this video multiple times. If you have any doubt, please post the comment. I will try to answer your question. Also, if you are going to attend any interview, Snowflake interview, any data engineering interview for more than 3 years of experience, then also go through this video. You will get multiple questions out of these videos. You will have multiple answers also. Almost all the scenario has been solved. So this will be of great help if you're going for an interview in the Snowflake or into the data engineering field.